All right, you're welcome to the most compelling talk show on TV, talking about the desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to another exciting edition where we look at issues making the rounds in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria. And on today's edition is no different, as we'll be looking at very, very key issues. One of them being the national protest being planned by some set of Nigerians, or you would say a majority of Nigerians, in terms of trying to, express that this to the He also called on citizens to give his administration enough time to respond to their requests. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, revealed to State House correspondent after a closed-door talk at the his comment for nationwide protests from August 1st to 10th against the rising cost of living and the economic hardship. Also, we'll be looking at issues making the rounds in the oil sector, where Dangote's claim is still causing some very heated debate, as former Minister of Education Obi Ezekwesili has called for an independent audit of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited capped its investment in the Dangote Petroleum Refinery at 7.2% instead of the agreed 20% stake. This was the group chief executive officers of the NNPCL, Mele Kyari, who also denying the fact that he owned a plant outside the shores of the country, and that's why the NNPCL is making it quite difficult for Dangote to have a smooth sailing. So we're looking at that issue as one of the talking points on today's edition of the program, The Desk. Away from that, we also will be taking into other talking points that has to do with of national interest, as the issue of the anti-Dangote refinery is not going away anytime soon. So the House of Rep has asked the federal government to suspend the NMDPR boss over his comment. Yes, that was the take of the House of Representatives, who has called on the federal government to suspend the chief executive officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, pending the conclusion of the investigations of the allegations against what it called the unguarded statement by the CEO. The resolution of the House followed the adaptation of the motion of urgent public importance sponsored by the member representing Esosa Federal Constituency of Edo State, Esosa Iwari, during Tuesday's plenary on the need to address issues arising from Farouk's utterances about the nation's local refineries. The lawmaker did remind Nigerians and his colleagues that the claims of adulterated fuel in the Nigerian market must be thoroughly investigated, stating that the fuel quality can impact engine hardware. So we'll be looking at that very disturbing comments coming out from Farouk Ahmed and what that means for the entirety of Nigerians. We're talking about 200 million people in danger of their cars getting knocked or damaged. Also, we'll be looking at other issues that are still pending from that refinery row, where it's now gone into the African continent, as the president of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliko Dangote, has been invited by the president Brice Nguema of Gabon to invest in cement and the fertilizer production in his country. So what we are rejecting, other African countries want to capitalize on. So we'll be looking at the implications of Dangote moving his business to the oil-rich Gabon, talking about East African nation. So we'll be looking at the consequences if he does agree to do that. Then we'll also be taking into the insecurity segment of our lives, where the Inspector General of Police is talking this evening, talking about the IGP Kayode Egbetokun, who said there was a decline in crime rates across the country in the past few months due to strategies deployed by the Nigerian police. This is debatable, as the hunger in the land has increased, so has crime. So we'll be looking at if Egbetokun he's been economical with the truth, because specifically he noted that major crimes dropped from 416 in the last month compared to 734 in May and 530 in June. All right, these and other talking points is what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program at the desk. I will go for a quick break. When we return from the break, I'll be introducing my guest. I will be hitting the discuss button. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
we are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight,
what is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okere tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Animal Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Welcome back to the most compelling talk show on TV, the Desk on Global Television, and today promises to be fireworks as we've got the finest minds in the continent to help us look at the very, very interesting talking points we'll be looking at. And we're beginning from the big one, which has to do with the national protest. And President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday appealed to Nigerians who have planned to stage nationwide hunger protest to shelve the plan. He also called on the citizens to give his administration enough time to respond to their requests. That's the fulcrum for our first discourse. We've got in the live studios Comrade Okpanachi Jacob, a well-known civil rights activist, joining us in the studio. A pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we also have our Ambassador Agbonkoro Splendor, who is the Executive Director Initiative for Leadership and the Economic Watch in Nigeria, joining us in the live studios. Thank you, gentlemen, for making it to the studios. All right, let's begin with quickly. The President says Nigerians no need to go on the hunger protest. Do you agree with Mr. President that his administration needs more time? How much time do you think he needs?
Okay, good afternoon. Good evening. Before going into that, it is important for us to check into the baselines of the factors that have led to citizens attempting to rise. And it is important also to note that government policies in recent time have given birth to this idea. Not just that, the laziness of people in power to attend to issues in a proactive manner, not in a reactive manner. You see, at inception, if you can remember, before a session in the National Assembly, the Senate President was playing with the gavel, and he mentioned, let the poor breathe. Right now, the poor are no longer breathing. The poor are gasping for breath. And if this is so, it will be unfortunate that government watched until we are at the dawn of a serious conflagration in our country before attempting to take steps. However, I want to say that it is not too late. Why did I mention this? The policies of government that in inception of Tinubu's administration was introduced, the first most deleterious one was the removal of fuel subsidy without a commensurate effort to cushion the effect or a study of the impact on the citizens before going into such. Having removed this subsidy, everything spirals because every citizen depends on the fuel as one of the major components of their daily living. If you own a shop and you are a barber, you will require light, which is not readily available. And the alternative is the use of generators, which consumes fuel, which means every citizen, one way or the other, goes to the filling station to buy that product, which is supposed to be one of the cheapest or one of the most readily available things in Nigeria. But unfortunately, these things have counted into the numbers of chronicles of issues that have given birth to the citizens attempting to rise. Now, you ask what time is expected. The time is now. Government should engage in a more proactive manner using the various tools of accountability and peace building to be able to reach out to the citizens in their numbers. Of course, the citizens are agitated, and they have the right to do so. They have the right to protest because it's a fundamental right that is enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. Not only the Nigerian Constitution, in the Magna Carta document, you will find freedom of assembly and association there. Even United Nations Declaration of Freedom, you find a lot of them in this document. So we are part of those conventions that have agreed that people, when aggrieved, can send their messages through one protest or the other.
You can counter him if you don't agree. Do you see the security agencies stopping Nigerians by force? Because we've got the social media handler of the president coming out on social media to say those who are planning this protest will meet the stiffest of all resistance, even though he did try to stop Wuli to say he doesn't mean physically. But do you see the government using subtle ways to stop Nigerians?
That will not provide a solution to the situation that we have at hand. These protests that is being planned is born out of hunger. People are hungry, and they want to ventilate their displeasure over the economic crisis at the moment. So using the security to clamp down on protesters will not be the best option. It will exacerbate the entire process. The only thing government can do is to see how government can open communications and foster what I call the sense of commitment and transparency and accountability. Government needs to be accountable to the people. Like my colleague earlier said, the policies are not working. If the policies are not working, government should have a redress and look inward, look outside the box, and see how they can, provide solution to some of these crises that is bedeviling the economy. Staging security operative to stop the protests is going to meet a brick wall, because what I see now as they are gathering, I think that. Do you think it's
the six geopolitical zones that are ready?
Nigerians are resolute to even lay their life down, because the hunger is too much. And it appears that the government is not feeling the pulse of the hunger, because they are there at the presidency. Nigerians are the one that is facing this hunger crisis, economic crisis. The need for government to be more proactive in terms of trying to open communications, try to see how they can dialogue. Constructive dialogue with the people that are trying to mobilize for this protest, so that if there's any way they can look and see to what are the plans that government have on ground. You said they should stop. They should not go on protest. What are the measures that is put on ground? What are we saying? What are the indications? What are the lights that shows that in the next few months from now, there will be turnaround. The indications are not there. They are
yes,
no indications.
for you.
So that is already giving a serious, pressure on the society.
What do you think the government can do right now to stop
Well,
the August 1st?
You see, one of the major problems that I would have gone in before my first question elapsed and before 1st August is this, that there is a discommunication. There is a miscommunication from government. The local government autonomy, financial autonomy that have been granted is something we should be celebrating. But unfortunately, the spiraling impact of such feat is yet to be felt because it's just new. Then, while we are trying to douse tension, it would have been proper that our executive and legislators should have been of modest character and show citizens sense of responsibility that they are not just spilling the taxpayers' money. For instance, how can a legislature, on the eve, when there is already an announced protest, go out in the public presenting an SUV for a daughter that is graduating not from university, from a secondary school, in a country that a civil servant will work for 30 years and cannot even afford that, with his benefit that is not even always readily available at retirement. Now, upon that, the president himself, pre-election, had told people that he was going to remove subsidy, even if they protest. Now the protest is about to come, and there's confusion on what to do. Kinetic means of stopping this protest will make it spiral into the things that have led to the issues that we are finding in so many countries like Kenya and the rest. What I advise is that there should be a continuous civil society engagement to douse tension, not to increase the anger of the people by telling nobody is afraid to die as it is now. A whole lot of the masses are prepared for this protest. And the fear of hijack, the protesters don't even care if it is hijacked, because whoever is going to hijack it is feeling the impact that the man that is supposed to undergo those protests are feeling for now.
All right, let's move on to the next talking point. We're getting into the Dangote claim, where the former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, has called for the independent audit of why the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited kept its investment in Dangote Petroleum Refinery at 7.2% instead of the 20% that was earlier agreed. Gentlemen,
yes.
Do you smell sabotage? Do you smell something cooking here?
There's always a sabotage. That's the reason why the nation has not moved forward. The nation Nigeria has not moved forward because of sabotage. In every sector of Nigerian society, there is sabotage everywhere. It's behold of the government at this point in time to look inward, like I said, see how they can begin to make changes in all of this area that is being affected economically. Like now, Nigeria is saying that investors should come and invest in Nigeria, whereas the local investor that is investing now in the economy is being treated the way it's treated. It's being neglected. It's being made to face crisis that is facing right now. It's very unacceptable. And it does not give a free level playground for investors to come into the country and invest. If what is done to Dangote at the moment, as a local investor from Nigeria, a Nigerian is faced with this kind of crisis, is it the foreigner that will come that will not face such crisis? So the ripple effect of what is happening is like we are watching our dirtiness outside, and it's not going to help Nigeria economy. It's not going to hold investors to come and invest.
Okay,
it's a challenge at the moment.
Why do you think the NNPCL has stuck at 7.2% rather than the 20% earlier agreed?
Yes, you see, the problem with shareholding in the oil cycle is something that is not too open to the civil populace.
But we've got the PIA
Act. Yes. But of course, there are so many things that led to it. I think at a point, the federal government was not even meeting their own part of the required 20%. And it was reduced to that.
They paid just 7.2%.
So, and that is why they should remain there. The most sacrosanct point in this issue is that, just like my colleague had said, the sabotage level have become too open. Here we have a regulatory agency that could not stop Nigerians from consuming polluted fuel some few years or months ago. Now, adopting the one that Dangote scarcely sourced for as not being as inferior to others. And when test was conducted, it was found out that Dangote had the best diesel, as it were, amongst the contemporary diesel that were tested in the laboratory. Now, what am I trying to say here? If our regulatory agencies continue to remain in this posture they are, I'm telling you, the development we require in the oil sector is not going to be achieved.
I agree for those who call for the sack of Mele Kyari.
I am part of those that is calling for his sack. I am part of those that is calling for his sack, because you cannot have watched Nigerians consume bad fuel in the past from foreign countries, and an indigenous company that is trying to ensure that Nigeria is set on pace for a total revolution in terms of financial domination of the dollar within our own sphere. Because if Dangote Refinery kickstarts fully with the provision of crude oil from Nigeria here to the company, you will find out that exchange rate must surge down, because it will be distributing not only to Nigeria, it will be distributing to other African countries. And now these things are being suppressed. The man is frustrated to the point that he's even saying that the NNPC should come and acquire his company. Of course, I'm not of the opinion that they should acquire the company, because we have 3 refineries. They promise, in fact, they shouldn't remain in office. Since April, we have been expecting our refineries to kickstart, to create that competition that will break the monopoly that they fear in Dangote. Yet, they have not been able to fix our refineries that have been staffed with over 40,000 Nigerians and receiving salaries that are juicier than people that are doing a lot of hard work on the street. Yet, our refineries are still where they are. Dangote should be given the needed support, because he has raised Nigeria ahead. What the country could not achieve in years, he has achieved so far.
Of the Initiative for Leadership Economic Watch in Nigeria, do you think Mele Kyari and his team, the fact that he has been allegedly accused of owning, blending, refineries in Malta, is the reason why he's hell-bent on not letting this fly?
The issue, nobody has gone to Malta to see whether there is any refinery there at the moment. It's still a speculation at the moment. What we are saying, the current management of the NNPC at the moment is not taking matters. Let there be a change of hands. NNPC is not Kyari's property. It's Nigerian's property. If it's not doing well, it should step aside. It should be stopped. Yes. So that other person can come in and also try their best.
All right, so we're hoping that the right thing we've done so that Dangote Refinery would be up and running for the betterment of 200 plus Nigerians and the entire African continent. But it's very disturbing to note that not just Nigerians are feeling the heat. We've got the story that also has led the House members, talking about the House of Representatives, also have called on the federal government to suspend the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, pending investigation into allegations against what they called unguarded statement by the CEO. The resolution was followed by the adoption of the motion of urgent public importance sponsored by a member representing Esosa Federal Constituency of Edo State. Let's look at the comments of Farouk, which tend to put Dangote's refinery product in bad light. Do you think that was deliberate?
It is deliberate.
Of course.
It is deliberate. They want to continue to be importing fuel and be making money out of it. They don't want that. They don't want Dangote to be able to, rescue that situation, because they make more money when they go abroad to import.
But shouldn't the government protect Dangote, knowing the investment?
That was supposed to be, considering the volume of the investment that has been put on ground. Government need to protect that investment, because we are talking about the economy here. Government need to protect that investment.
But are you disappointed Mr. President hasn't said a word about this?
I would have expected by now
because he's the petroleum minister.
The executive director of the downstream sector should be sacked. I'm still disappointed that he's still occupying that office.
What does that tell Okpanachi if he still maintains that office and Mr. President hasn't said a word? He's the Minister of Petroleum.
Yes, you see, the conspiracy is beyond what we can see or feel in the present context. Dangote has done his best to bring succor to the oil sector that have suffered a drag in the past. Like I had earlier mentioned, the two refineries in Nigeria have been maintained through a turnaround process. There's turnaround maintenance almost every quarterly. And yet, it is not producing any, even a bottle of crude oil is not refined there. Here we have something that has the capacity to take us for long and help us cushion the effect of import. Talk about the spillover that is going to come from the byproducts. It's enormous. Yet they are interested in exporting our crude and getting it. It's a country that is operating like it is upside down. If these people are left in office, I think Nigerians are going to rise, and if they don't, we are going to lead them to rise against what is happening, because as civil society, we cannot watch the system fleece with the taxpayers' future and integrity, as it were.
All right, before we go for the quick break, let's let you know that the president of Dangote Industries, Aliko Dangote, has been invited by the president of Gabon, Brice Nguema of Gabon, to invest in cement and fertilizer production in the country, according to the statement on Tuesday made by the media office of the group. The billionaire was invited to explore investment opportunities in cement and fertilizer at a time the Nigerian government is accusing him of plans to monopolize the oil sector in the country. What does this mean to us? The
cries of monopoly. The cries of monopoly have been consistent. Okay, if you don't want to a monopoly, create a factor, create competition. Yes. Is it only Dangote that was given license for oil? No. It is not only Dangote that has the license for oil. Government has 3 refineries. Why are they not working to break that monopoly? Do you need to stop somebody by force to break monopoly? No, you create competition. Yes. It's against economic rule for you to want to use all technicalities to stampede a progress of somebody that have invested so much, where the government have even, at least let's even say 7-point-something% inclusion in that project. It means you want to even waste that 7-point-something on nothingness.
All right, moving to the next talking point, let's go to insecurity matters, where the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, said there was a decline in crime rates across the country in the past few months due to the strategies deployed by the police. Specifically, he noted that major crimes dropped from 416 in last month compared to the 734 in May and 530 in June. Egbetokun, who spoke during a meeting with commissioners of police in Abuja, commended personnel of the force for their passion and commitment to the execution of his strategies. Egbetokun also did add that in the fight against criminal activities in the last month, the police arrested 1,284 individuals nationwide. Do you agree with the Inspector General of Police that crime rate has reduced even when there's hunger in the land? Because we know that
I can't juxtapose that claim, because people cannot still access their farm. Farmers cannot go to farm. And that's the reason for the hunger. If farmers that are meant to go to farm are not able to access their farm because of insecurity, there will be hunger in the land, and that's what we are experiencing now. So I can't really measure that.
Is this a Kanachi? Do you think this PR on his behalf?
Yes, you see, it's unfortunate that we over-index our statistics. This is indexing. It does not correlate with any standard of the empirical visibilities of the things that are physically present in our economy. Every day you hear of crime. Every day you hear of kidnapping. Yet you are telling us it's dropping. People cannot go to farm, as it were, just like my colleague said. And all these things are culminating into the critical mass of issues that is leading to this protest that we earlier discussed in the earlier topic. So, until there is a sincerity of purpose attached to our approach to governance, we are going to continuously have problems with ensuring that the citizens get the deliverable of governance. If not, why should they tell us crime is reducing when we know it is increasing?
All right, we'll go for the last topic before we go for a quick break and make a switch. Let's tell you that President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday assented to the Northwest Development Commission bill. This was disclosed to journalists by the Deputy Senate President Jibril Barau, who sponsored the bill. Barau commended the President for granting the assent, noting that the Commission would address the the deteriorating state of infrastructural facilities in the northwest region destroyed by Boko Haram. Are we beginning to see this new venture where every region is now having their own, just like we have the NEDC for the Niger Delta, now we have the northeast, now the northwest. Is it becomes a child's play, or is it a necessity?
It's a necessity because of the need that accumulated to that decision. But it is supposed to break down the deliveries, as in government development to the grassroots. It will be some arm of government that will focus on specific area and address it headlong.
So are the governments not working anymore?
But we have Niger Delta Commission set up already for how many years now, and every day we see a lot of things that are going on there that is very unspeakable. So the purpose, when the purpose of the thing is not achieved, it becomes inevitable.
Of course.
So it is a good intention of the government to set up those commissions to be able to address specific issues that has to do with poverty alleviation, community development, and what have you. But if that is not done, if we are not seeing the practical result of those things that I just mentioned, it means that the purpose for which it was set up is defeated.
Banachi, don't you think this is more like creating job for the boys? We heard about the Orosanyans report, which the government did promise us they were going to implement, merging ministries and all that. Before, fast forward, we have the livestock ministry. Now we're having more commissions. Is this government being realistic?
Whenever we start talking about job creation, there is a misinterpretation of the concept by many Nigerians. Job creation does not stop at white-collar job. Job creation has to start with creating the template for the growth of businesses, and which includes the provision of power and a good business environment. Power, if it is solved, reduce Nigerian poverty to half. Because I cannot produce cassava in my village and process it without power. I cannot produce mango. There's a village in Kogi State, Inye. It's called Inye, in Ankpa local government. It's a tomato belt, let me put it that way. But there's no single tomato factory or tomato preservation system close to them that is less than 500 kilometers. It means they have to transport it all the way to Lagos, all the way to places that have tomato paste companies. So if there is power available in its consistent point, people could go there it will be cheaper for you to produce there and transport and export to the other part of the world and Nigeria than for them to transport tomatoes that you may even lose shelf life before it gets to its destination.
All right, very sad commentary there, but it's now time for us to go for a quick break. And when we return, we'll continue with discourse as we look at a very interesting talking point. 180 reps join the call for Nnamdi Kanu's release. These and other stories is talking point is what we'll look at after this break. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely because
this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m.
Welcome back from the break. It's still the desk on Global Television, and while we went on that quick break, we had a very quick switch like Pep Guardiola would do for Manchester City. So it means we're on fire, and we've got Toba Owojaye joining us in the studio. He is a political scientist, and he'll be lending his voice to all the talking points we'll be having for the next few 10-15 minutes left on the program. Thank you for waiting in the wings. And
It's a great day.
All right, so let's begin. The House of Representatives Minority Caucus, comprising 180 lawmakers, joined the call for the release of the leader of the separatist indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, who has been in custody since 2021. He is being persecuted by the federal government on treason charges based on his push for the breakaway of the Igbo from Nigeria. Let's look at the last time we had talked about it. Justice Binta Nyako did say they should go for political settlement outside of the courts. Why do you think it's taking too long for the council or Nnamdi Kanu's team to be able to get the president to get him released?
It's a political matter. It's not so much a Nigerian matter again. It's now more of a political situation on ground. The president, for some reason, I expected Tinubu, of all people, to have released him from immediately his Supreme Court's judgment was over, and he got his full grip on government because he has no need of the man, and it costs the country so much every time he's brought out to courts because they have to put DSS, and it leads to a lot of pardon. Sowore said that we spend 500 million every time he comes to court. I would have released such a person that I spent 500.
Do you agree with those figures? Knowing fully well that at times they use those figures to as a way of allegedly,
siphoning funds. That's what I'm saying. So if I see that already on ground, that's more reason for me to release him, so that I won't hear somebody saying that they spent 500,000 in court to just bring somebody to the court. But outside that, this shows us, I know the Ikenga is the person who is heading.
And 180 lawmakers, is that strong enough?
They started at 60, now they've grown to 180. So politically, he's growing as a force, as a southeastern force. And they lending their own voice shows that this is strong. This is now beyond just southeastern push that it started in. And it's a good way. We want the president to release him. There's nothing If you release him, you can give him exile. If that's what you want, you believe is going to give you a problem, give him an exile and then let's watch. Get strong guarantors.
All right, as an activist, which kind of could fall towards that line, do you think he's a threat?
Well, even he himself, some time ago, made a statement that they should release him and let him see who will come to enforce any sit-at-home order. It means within the sphere of the time he was in incarceration, he has been able to learn some lessons to me. And I think, to be fair to him, whatever it was, whether it was a mistake, design, or default, every means of engagement have been exhausted. It went as far as Supreme Court, and there is an opinion sorted for a political resolution. And taking the step forward in this House of Representatives with that number of reps seeking for his release, I think it is a proper thing if he's being released and guided with undertaking that he was not going to go back into those things.
But do you see this happening?
Well, there's nothing too much for a government to achieve if they have, what's it called?
The political will.
to
But do you think the Southeastern leaders have done enough in terms of push for it? Because we've not seen the state governors come out as a bloc.
Yeah, well, the issue is this. The state governors in the East are afraid of one thing. Conceding against the demand for Biafra is like a sacred sin in the East. But I do understand that they have made political attempts to be able to do that. But also, doing that, or in the course of that, it is not enough to say that that is forceful enough to ensure we get what we desire. Good intentions, according to Professor Francis Idachaba, is not just enough.
It's not just enough. Let's move to the next talking point, as the federal government has released 438 billion naira in reimbursement to 34 states and the FCT under the Nigerian Community Action for Resilience and Economic Stimulus Program. The Information and Communication Officer, Federal CARES Support Unit, Suleiman Odapu, stated this in a statement in Abuja. Odapu quoted that the national coordinator of the NG CARES program, Abdul Karim Obaje, has been explaining that the funds were disbursed based on the result achieved by the states and the FCT during the third independent verification agency assessment carried out in January 2024. He stated that from the result earned in Zamfara, Nasarawa, Plateau State emerged first in 3 earners with 49.2 billion. This money is being mentioned. Can we see we've seen the effects, ripple effect on Nigerians, those at the state level? Or this money is just being given?
It has just been released in my own opinion.
Okay.
2 states didn't get at all, Kaduna and Enugu State, from what I'm aware. Those 2 states didn't, I think, meet up with the verification process that was needed for this reimbursement.
But do we trust this process where federal government keeps giving the state money to reach out to the vulnerable groups?
Nigeria, do we trust any process? That's where we should start from. Once there's money given out in Nigeria, do we trust the process? The answer is no. So whether it's given from the federal government or given to the state government or given to the local government, as far as it's money given out, Nigerians don't trust it because it can never go wrong.
Is it because we don't have credible data, or the leaders or those put in charge are just not trustworthy?
It's because of the past experiences. They say a person that a snake has bitten will be afraid of robber. A lot has happened to Nigerians and funds in the past. So anytime you mention funds given out, Nigerians become apprehensive because most times 60% of those funds ends up in private accounts. So anytime you mention more funds, they just get more offended. But the government still has to give out funds. Left to me, I would use it to do projects. I am a communist. So I would use it to do projects. I have no fund to give anybody.
All right, I just want to, before we wrap it up, I just wanted to get your take on the national protest cooking up, brewing. Are you in support of that?
Yeah,
and because Mr. President says there's no need for that protest.
I'm with him that we should get we should push it off for maybe 6 months and watch the government and give the government clear.
Are you saying if they could not deliver in a year, what's the guarantee in 6 months they're going to deliver?
I'm of the opinion that we should give the government 6 months and a clear, measurable metrics of what we want done, not what the government wants to do. Of what we want done. We want fuel at 500 naira
per litre.
Make clear measures. If it's not here in six months' time, we will be back here and there will be no story for it. Something as clear as that. So is it that you're going to work with Dangote or you're not going to work with him?
Simple.
Is it that you're going to import or is it that you're going to move to subsidy? We don't really care how this works out. But in 6 months' time, we are back on this. Make it. You see, I love to only make threats that I can follow out, and I can see that the person I'm making the threat to has the reasonable office to be able to run it out. I saw some of those demands, and for a government to do all of those demands will scatter any government. So we need to look at our demands, make our demands realistic, make sure our demands are for Nigerians. It's not against politicians. It's not. There's nobody it's attacking. It's for us. Yes, it will hit some people, but it should be for us. Make it and give it 6 months and follow through. I expect Nigerians to say, we want to go and inspect those 3
But do you think
refineries.
Nigerians would trust this current government?
We want to go and inspect those 3 refineries. We want Brekete FM to be there. We want Serap to be there. We want NTA channels, Global TV to be there live. And they should give us a live footage of what is going on in those refineries. See, once we put light to things, accountability comes. But once we leave it dark, nobody knows what we're talking about. 3 refineries, have they worked? We have worked. You have not worked. We have worked. Take us there. Let's see it. If we see it, we can be able to measure that this can be finished in this time. If it cannot be finished in this time, somebody is lying to us by shifting the goalpost, which is making people more angry.
All right,
This must
yes.
change.
Your last word, 1 minute.
Well, my last word is that I call on the youths, civil society organizations, women-based organizations, and all concerned non-state actors to please, I'm pleading, sheath their sword, come to a negotiation roundtable with government to see how we can forge ahead without violence. I say this based on the fact that it never ended well with Libya, it never ended well with Sudan, it never ended well with countries that thought they could control. And if it is not controlled, it is inevitably going to raise a conflagration that can consume a country. As it were, Nigeria does not stop where you expect them to stop most times. That's why they are always the best in whatever they do. Thank you.
On that very patriotic note, we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. I want to say a big thank you to Comrade Okpanachi Jacob, popularly known as Nadeko, and in case you're a Josite, you know that very well. And I want to say a big thank you to Splendor, yes, the man who we have to substitute, because we had 2 dark men in the lineup, and we brought in Toba Owojayi. Always a pleasure having him, but today didn't have enough time to lend his voice to other issues, but we're deeply very grateful for joining us in the studios. My name is Anthony Momodi saying thank you for joining us on The Desk. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening.
Good evening.